Hi everyone, I'm Grace, and I'm here for probably the same reason that you are, which is a love of cinema. Now, films have always been a very personal thing for me. It is the art form of the 21st century, and it is the art form of our generation. And I think more than any other art form is actually the most interactive one, and thus, in a way, the most personal. I think unlike a book or a painting, movies are sort of this culmination of the efforts and visions of so many unique and creative individuals, and the end result is this visual and audio creation that we get to experience on the big screen, in the darkness by ourselves. As diverse as the creation of a movie might be, equally diverse is the reaction by its audiences. And that makes it so interesting to hear from different people about how they experience a movie. Because I think it depends on how you saw it, who you saw the movie with, where do you see it, and even how you felt when you were watching it. Every single person's experience to a movie is completely unique in its own right. And that's why I was also so flattered and honored when Roger asked me to share one of my personal cinematic experiences with you. And immediately my mind snapped back to a movie that I saw for the first time more than a year and a half ago in September 2008 as part of the Toronto International Film Festival. Now, I remember clearly the day I saw it as if it was yesterday. It was 8 o'clock in the morning at Ryerson Theatre in Toronto. And I'm not a morning person, as anyone would tell you, but that film shook me to the core when I saw it. And since then, it's been released in theater last year, and I've had a chance to see it one more time. And I found it equally engaging and actually even more introspective second time around. And it has, of course, gone to win many critical acclaims and awards, and it's now been nominated for 9 Academy Awards. And that movie, of course, is The Hurt Locker, directed by Miss Catherine Bigelow. Now, many things have been said about The Hurt Locker. A lot of people say it's a commentary on war, that is a commentary on one man's obsession with his profession. For me, The Hurt Locker is so much more than that. You know, it's more than a movie about war. It is a movie about the humanity in war. And it's a movie about how we attempt to retain our humanity and how we adapt to our environment in the face of an extreme environment like war. And the struggle that goes on within people who have to do that day in and day out for a long, long, long period of time. And Catherine take us through that experience through the character James, who is a bomb disposal specialist. So what he does is he disarms bombs day in and day out. He lives in danger so that those around him doesn't have to. He chooses to do that. He's very good at his job. And in the beginning of the film, we see different facets of James's humanity. We see his compassion when he deals with enemies. We see him playing with an Iraqi kid, and we see his sense of humor. We see him interacting with his team members under fire, and we see his integrity and his leadership. And we see that this is a very noble man. We see this as a good man, a good soldier, perhaps like many of those people around him. But we also see James suffer. We see his despair in his daily existence. We see him play fighting with his teammates at the end of a long day, and they're throwing real punches to each other, hard, real punches, because they need to feel something at the end of the day that they just gone through. At the end of the night, when James is by himself, we see him reaching over and grabbing his helmet and putting it on because that's what he knows best, because that's the environment that he has come to call home. Halfway through the movie, we also see James actually going back to America to visit his family. And there's this one shot of him standing in the middle of a grocery store, in a cereal aisle, just surrounded by this slew of cereal boxes, completely and utterly lost as a person. He's just trying to make sense of it all, and he can't do that after having lived in this hyper violent and erratic environment of war for so long. And I think that's the commentary on war. Is what it does to humanity. It chips away at you, bit by bit, piece by piece. After all that's left, it's a shell of a man or a woman. And we also see how James cope with that. And he does that by retreating into the Hurt Locker, which is his bomb suit. So every day he goes out and suit up to do his job. That's actually the most dangerous part of his day. But I think for James, that's also the safest for him. Because inside the suit, he is in control. He's at home and he is excellent. He knows what to do, and no one can touch him. And that's a theme that I think is universal. How we deal with our pains and our struggle with reality. As human beings, we're very adaptive, and we adapt to our environment. We do what we need to do in order to survive. But inside every single one of us, I think there is a Hurt Locker. We all have that place, that dark, comfortable place that you go to. The place where you store your secrets, your pains, your sorrows, your regrets. And it's scary. It's a cocoon of pain. But I think as scary as that pain is, it is also uniquely yours. And it's comforting because you know how it feels, and you know how it moves, and you know how it moves, and no one can take that pain away from you. And somehow, in this crazy world called reality that we exist in, with so many things going on, and so many violence and danger and stress, that at times I think most of us have retrieved into that Hurt Locker before, and sometime maybe in the storm of reality that we live in, maybe being in the vortex of that storm, in the Hurt Locker, might be the safest place of all. I mean, for me, I'm not a boy, I'm not a soldier, I've never been to war, I've never dissected a bomb. But I know James, you know. I know how he feels. I've been in that bomb suit. Because I have my own Hurt Locker too. So for a film like this, I think to reach across gender and racial and geographical distances and borders, and to reach inside you, the audience, and sort of touches a part of you that you didn't even realize existed, and grab onto it and never letting go, that's special. And that's why I go to the movies. And I understand James. And I think, in a way, by watching this film, I've learned what it's like to live inside the Hurt Locker and outside of it. And for me, that makes this film unforgettable. And for me, that's why this is my favorite film of the year.